Hey guys, it's Bella and welcome back to my channel. This is part 2 of my TDA reread. So I'm rereading The Dark Artifices, and this video is going to be the reading vlog for me rereading Lord of Shadows. For those of you who don't know, The Dark Artifices are my favorite Shadowhunters series, and I explain it a little more in depth in my first video where I reread Lady Midnight, which is the first book. I'm really excited to get into Lord of Shadows because from my memory, this is my favorite one out of the three, but I could be wrong there. And I'm also really scared because I remember the ending very well. I remember sobbing over the ending a lot. Also forgot to mention that there will be spoilers for all of the Shadowhunter books, and especially Lord of Shadows and all of the Dark Artifices books will be spoiled. So if you have no interest in reading them, then stay, but if you have interest in reading the Shadowhunter books, then please go read them before watching this video, and I do highly recommend that you read them. So let's get into the vlog. Alright, so I'm almost 70 pages in to Lord of Shadows, and I just finished the part where Clary was telling Emma about her dreams that she's going to die and how she just has this feeling that she's going to die soon. And I remember this was resolved in Queen of Air and Darkness because Clary saw herself die in the Thule dimension, and that's what she was dreaming about and having visions of. But I think this is red herring. I think Clary is going to die in Wicked Powers. And the reason why I think this is because, one, I feel like since this is Cassie's last Shadowhunter trilogy or series, she's going to kill off a big main character. And I don't really feel like she would kill off a lot of the other characters. Like, she's talked about killing off main characters before. But I think this time she's really going to do it with Clary. The thing is, she usually resolves her plot points a lot better than the whole dual dimension thing. And I don't know, it didn't really seem like the plot point was resolved. It more seemed like Clary wanted that to be the case instead of it actually being the case. Like how her visions were described in this chapter, I don't feel like it really matches up with her seeing herself die in another dimension. It just seems like she has a feeling that she's going to die soon. So yeah, that's my big prediction for Wicked Powers, and actually one of my friends agrees with me that this might happen, and honestly, I love Clary, and I would be very upset if she died. But out of all the main characters, if we're gonna kill off a main character, I think Clary would make the most sense, both from a story perspective and just I would rather her die over like Alec or Magnus, because if Alec or Magnus dies in the Wicked Powers, I'm coming for you, Cassie, okay? I will come for you. You will be paying for my therapy bills. Like, I would need extensive therapy after that. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep reading Lord of Shadows, and of course I am loving it so far. I am just waiting until the Centrons arrive though, because they've been mentioned, and I'm going to have a fit when Zara, I think that's her name, like, you know, the horrible bigoted Centron that's like one of the villains for this book series. I'm going to throw a fit when she arrives because I hate her probably more than I've hated almost any other Shadowhunter character. Zara and the Centrons were just introduced, and she genuinely boils my blood. Like, she was talking about Magnus and Alec and how like Magnus like maybe cast a spell to make Alec fall in love with him, and just saying all these horrible things about Magnus. I'm here ready to throw hands. Like, you do not talk about Magnus like that. You do not. You just don't. Also, it made me really happy because we got a John Cartwright reference, and he defended Downworlders. And for those of you who don't know, he is from Tales of the Shadowhunters Academy, and he kind of had this little character arc where he started out as a bully and then turned into an actual decent human being. And it's good to see that he's continuing to change, and even in this horrible toxic environment, he's able to maintain like decent beliefs. We just got the Diana and Gwen meeting, and I love them so much. Like, it's so funny to see just this ancient fairy have like this crush on this just Shadowhunter, and I cannot wait to see more from them because I absolutely love their first interaction. Oh my god, I love Kit and Ty so much. We just got the scene where Ty basically asks Kit to be the Watson to his Sherlock, and so cute. Like, I love when they go and try and solve the mystery of what the Centurions are hiding, and they're just so cute. I forgot that John died in this book. Like, I fully erased that from my memory. And they mentioned Marisol, and they're like, poor Marisol, because she is John's girlfriend, or I don't know if they ever got married, but you know, she used to be a mundane, and she did the little Shadowhunter ceremony and got turned into a Shadowhunter. So obviously he used to be like a bigot towards her when he was still bigoted, but then she helped him like realize that mundanes are just as good as Shadowhunters and everything, and their relationship was so cute, and now I'm just sad. We just got to the London Institute, and I'm so excited because I know there were a bunch of Chain of Gold references that I didn't get the first time I read this, and I'm just excited to see them. Okay, but can we talk about how the heck did Bridget live for that long? Like, she's still there. She was introduced in the Infernal Devices, and she's literally still alive. I mean, I know it has to be some sort of magical like spell thing. Like, they didn't address that so far in Chain of Iron or Chain of Gold, so I hope they address it in Chain of Thorns, because I'm just kind of here like, Bridget, are you good? Why are you still alive? Oh my god, it's been 2 seconds, but I just have to talk about this. So Kit is looking at books in the library, and he says they were valuable first edition books in the enormous library. Most of them had been scribbled in by some idiot named Will H. I just love the fact that Kit, the first thing he says about Will when he sees his name is he's an idiot, like not knowing that Will is literally a Herondale, which Will is an idiot, but like an idiot we love. The whole Blackthorn family just reunited after Julian and Emma and Mark and Kieran came out of Ferry on the Wild Hunt. And first of all, that whole paragraph where Kit is looking up and seeing the Wild Hunt and the Blackthorns just like descending, that was a beautifully written paragraph. I loved it. But then Ty goes up to Mark and he's like, I'm not sure if you would come back. And then Mark finally takes, I'm pretty sure it was Christina's advice. She told him at the beginning of the book, he quotes her like directly, and he says, I'll always come back to you, Tiberius. I'm sorry if I ever led you to believe anything else. Beautiful. So I just got to the part where Magnus arrives at the Shadow Market because Livy and Ty and Kit went to the shadow market to try and uncover the memory thing. I forget what it's called, but it's like a little sphere and it has a memory or a like event in it of something that happened, and it takes a warlock to unlock it. So they went to the shadow market to unlock it and, you know, saw all that stuff about Annabelle. Then they got attacked, so Magnus showed up, and literally every situation that is going wrong, like if Magnus shows up, it's immediately better. Like literally Magnus solves everything, and I missed him, and having him in the story and seeing the little glimpse of him and Alec was so great. I loved seeing it. Also that whole thing with Kit and Ty and just their little interactions here or there through that whole scene melted my heart. I love them. So I just got to one of my favorite scenes between Kit and Ty. It's when Ty is having like a meltdown and he goes up to the roof and they're talking, and Kit asks him what he needs because, you know, he doesn't know how to make Ty feel better, and Ty asks him to hold him, and it's just such a sweet scene because not only is it sweet like romantically, but it's also just so sweet how Kit like really cares about making sure that he does the right thing for Ty and that he helps him, because a lot of people, they would just do what they think Ty would need no matter if that's actually what he would need. And I think it's just so sweet that Kit actually tries and asks him what's the right thing to do. And I don't know, I just love the dynamic so much, and I cannot wait to read more of it, even though I know it's going to break my heart. It is pretty late at night, but I am very close to finishing Lord of Shadows, so I'm probably just gonna read it all tonight. And since I know it's coming, this is going to be one emotionally tough night for me. Yay! I've been loving all of these character interactions. I absolutely love Diana and Gwyn, and I also really love Mark, Christina, and Kieran. Like, they're just getting to the point where they're all kind of bonding and realizing their feelings, except a lot of stuff still has to go down, so like we're not completely there yet, but they just have some really great interactions. And gosh, there really is not a couple or a ship or a friendship or just like any type of relationship in this book that does not hit. Like, all of them are amazing, and that's just the great thing about Cassandra Clare, is she writes really good characters and really good relationships. It's amazing. Now let me get on with finishing this book. So I just got to one of my favorite scenes in this entire book. I love this scene so much. It is the scene where Diana comes out to Gwyn. For those of you who don't know, Diana is transgender, and it is against the rules of the clave to use mundane medicine, which she obviously had to do in order to transition. So that's why she couldn't take over for the Institute when Arthur died, because the clave would find out and then they would throw her in jail. So after Gwyn asks her why she can't take charge of the Institute, she comes out to him, and it is such a beautiful scene. Hearing Diana's story, how she's struggled and how she's found herself and really just grown in to an amazing person, and then having Gwyn, his reaction be that, you know, she is a brave woman and that he's only sorry that the bigotry of others had to affect her. Like, it's just such a great scene. I just love that Sandra Clare is really making an effort to be inclusive and have diversity, because representation matters. Reading a character and relating to that character is such a special feeling, and if someone reads a character and is able to connect to them and understand who they are a little bit better, that could potentially save someone's life. You know, I know I'm getting pretty deep here into this reading vlog, but this subject is really important to me, and I just wanted to talk about how much the scene means to me and how much I love Diana and Gwyn and them together. So yeah, I'm gonna keep reading, but that's my rant for the video. I love Ty so much. So he wrote a letter to Annabelle Blackthorne to convince her to give them the Black Volume of the Dead, and at the end of the letter he says, "And there is Jules. You might like him the best. He is the one who takes care of us all. He is the reason we're all okay and still together. I don't think he knows we know that, but we do. Sometimes he might tell us what to do or not listen, but he would do anything for any of us. People say we're unlucky because we don't have parents, but I think they're unlucky because they don't have a brother like mine." Anything Ty says ever is just gold. Like, I don't know, I'm just so emotional right now because of that line. I'm not ready. I'm not ready for this scene. I'm not ready. This line, it just kills me. The amount of foreshadowing packed into this tiny little sentence. So Livy is saying, "There's a legend about that clock." She wiggled her eyebrows at him. "For a second, when it chimes the hour, the gates to heaven open." Livy sighed. A rare wistfulness flashed across her face. "As far as I'm concerned, heaven is just the Institute being ours again. All of us are going home." I can't with this book. I swear to God. Oh my god. I just finished the book. So Livy just died, and the line at the end, which I never actually caught the first time I read it, but now I caught it. "High above the council hall, the golden clock began to chime the hour." Livy's spirit going to heaven. This book, the first time I read it, I just remember sobbing because it just like straight up ends with Julian cradling Livy's dead body and Emma trying to kill Annabelle, and also the first time I read this, I barely even registered Robert dying. Like, so much was happening and I'm just like, excuse me. But yeah, Alec comes in and sees Robert dead, and he's like, he calls for his dad, and then Emma thinks of Alec and Isabel, and it hurts. Like, even though Robert is not perfect, he had done a lot of horrible things, but he really truly loved his kids, and you know, he's their dad. They loved him too, and he was a good counsel. He could help Emma and Julian, and now they have no one in the clave on their side. Zara and the rest of the cohort just boils my blood. There's so much like real life hate groups that it just hits so close to home. They don't even consider downworlders people. They don't want to listen to reason. They don't care. They don't want to listen. They will just go with whatever supports their agenda. And if Annabelle being tainted and impure and killing her is the way to go with their agenda, they'll do it, even if they have solid evidence that she is telling the truth. And I'm just angry and sad, and this book, no, I'm done. So yes, I finished Lord of Shadows. I loved it, no surprise there. The reread was great. I'm depressed now, so that's fantastic. Honestly, can Cassandra Clare just like pay for my therapy bills, please? Because I need it now. I need therapy because I'm dead. I'm heartbroken. Even though I already knew this was coming, there was just like a pit of dread building up in my stomach, and I'm just depressed. I'm going to film a little like wrap up and give you my thoughts and a little review for this book later on when I'm a little more coherent and it's not the dead of night. So yeah, thanks for coming with my emotional turmoil. Hey guys, so in the last clip you just watched, I said something like, I'm going to sleep and then the next day I will record my thoughts on Lord of Shadows. Well, it's been weeks, and apparently I just forgot to record the end of this video. I think it just completely left my brain, and I had already posted my review up on my Instagram and Goodreads, which you can check out, link in the description if you want a more concise version of my thoughts on this book. But I'm here now, and I will give you guys a little review for Lord of Shadows. So as we all know, I loved Lord of Shadows, already read it once, gave it 5 stars, still 5 stars my second time. This just takes everything that Lady Midnight did and improves upon it. The characters, the world building, the writing, just everything in it gets so much more intense. And, you know, when you want to make a book better or a book more enjoyable to read, if that's the right wording, you up the stakes. You make emotions more intense, and that is what Lord of Shadows did. It upped the stakes. So I'm doing this thing where I want to try and find a quote I loved from the book to put at the beginning of my review, because quotes are kind of a reason why a lot of people start reading books. Like if you see a really cool quote and you're like, wow, I want to read that book. So I think it's just a fun thing to put in a review. I will share with you guys one of my favorite quotes from this book. I don't know if it's my favorite because there are a lot of quotes in this book that I like, but this quote really stands out to me. Everyone is afraid of something. We fear things because we value them. We fear losing people because we love them. We fear dying because we value being alive. Don't wish you didn't fear anything. All that would mean is that you didn't feel anything. Spoilers for the next book, Queen of Air and Darkness, but not only does this quote do a beautiful job of showing what it means to be human, it also is foreshadowing for Queen of Air and Darkness, because Julian goes through the whole thing where he has his emotions either, I don't remember exactly what happens, but like they're turned off, or you know, they're not, like Magnus does the spell and he doesn't feel things or feel some things. Like he still feels anger and other things, but he doesn't feel love the way he did. And this quote is kind of just like major foreshadowing for that. Like, you need to feel things or else what's the point of life? Anyways, on to the next part of my review. I think the highlight of this book, besides Julian and Emma, are Kit and Ty. Their friendship and what's soon to be more than friendship really develops in this book so well. Like, their interactions are just everything. The way that Kit just genuinely tries to understand Ty and how he sees the world, and how Ty just has this connection to Kit that he can't really explain, and I don't know, it's just so cute, and it makes a relatively dark book feel so much more happy and lighthearted. And the next thing that I thought Cassie did really well in this book was her introduction to more Shadowhunter politics. And this is part of the world building where I think that she really develops in this book. I mean, she's always showed Shadowhunter politics in the past. They've been an essential part of her book, but this book really just ups them to a whole new level and mirrors real world politics. You know, obviously in the real world, there is a lot of hate out there, and that hate is in politics. It's just unavoidable. And so Cassie really shows how hate drives people and corrupts people and can spread in a government system, and then that government system goes to do horrible things to groups of people. And you know, obviously that's stuff that happens in the real world all the time. So I thought it was a great way to kind of educate people or put it into a different light, because I think part of reading fantasy and why it can be so beneficial is that it has all of these truths in it, hidden or balanced with all this magic and mysticism. And I guess it's easier to digest those truths and learn from them when it's in a fantasy book rather than when it's staring us in the face. Wow, okay, I kind of went off on a tangent that I didn't mean to go on. So back to the review. The last thing, well, the second to last thing that I have to talk about is the ending. God, it breaks my heart every single time. It was such beautiful writing. Like, it was so beautifully written, and I hate it, and I love it, and I hate it. That's my thoughts on the ending. Like, still not cohesive after like 2 weeks of rereading the book, so whatever. One thing that I did really enjoy about this book, which I always talk about like the villains in books, because villains are, I don't know, I wouldn't say they're important to me, but I think they are a very important part of fiction that people don't always acknowledge. You know, if there's a bad villain, the whole thing just feels cheaper. And I think Annabelle's descent into, I'm not really sure I would call her a villain, but you know, in the end, she's a villain to a lot of people, and her descent into that is so well written, and it's honestly one of my favorite Shadowhunter villains, because she starts out as this victim of so many horrible things, and then she causes other people to be the victim of her because of the clave, and it shows how much things don't really change. You know, you wouldn't think that she would be subject to the things she was subjected to back in her time, but she was. And that pushing her over the edge makes perfect sense. She wants to be believed. She wants to be a shadow hunter again. She wants to be treated like a shadow hunter. And when she's not, that pushes her over the edge. And I think that's great writing. It makes perfect sense. There's no motivation that she has in this book that doesn't make sense. Her killing Malcolm, even though it seems weird and outlandish at first, it makes sense. And towards the end, the only thing that people argue that doesn't make sense is her killing Livy. By that point, she's pretty much already gone off the edge. She just wants to strike out against these people who have hurt her so badly, and she's so blinded by that that she can't see the difference between the people that tried to help her and the people that tried to hurt her. And who can really blame her? Livy's death was horrible and uncalled for, but it wasn't really Annabelle that was behind that. It was the cohort and all of the hate and the hate groups that were in the room at the time that pushed her over the edge. In conclusion, Lord of Shadows was just as great during the reread. I do think I was able to pick up on more things in the reread, and you know, I picked up on a lot of foreshadowing and just heartbreaking details here and there, and of course references to Will and the whole gang from the Infernal Devices. So that is the end to my rambly review from Lord of Shadows. I hope you guys did enjoy this reading vlog, and I will be coming out with another one sometime soon. Well, maybe not soon, but sometime in the future for Queen of Air and Darkness, so make sure to check that out. Let me guys know in the comments what you thought about this book, suggestions of what I can do to make my reading vlogs better or more entertaining. And if you like this kind of content, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on those post notifications. Bye guys!